Hello there and welcome to the Wandering Wolf YouTube channel. I'm your host, Mark Rhodes. Alongside me, as always, is my friend and fellow Wolves lifer, Mr. Craig Forward. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, thank you, Mr. Rhodes. Good to see you again.
You too. But it is nice to see you, but it's even better to see our next guest tonight. She is a sports presenter and host of one of our favourite podcasts, isn't she? Yeah, she
Absolutely.
is. Yeah. Absolutely. It's the Molyneux View, but that's just scratching the surface, really. She's done so much in her career, and most importantly, she loves the Wolves. Big thank you to Jacqui Oatley for coming on Wandering Wolf. How are you, Jacqui?
Yeah, well, thanks. Thanks for having me on. I think, like you, I'm just doing a bit of juggling at the moment, but it's all part of fun.
yeah, homeschooling. 2.0. Well, it's not 2.0, it's 6.0, isn't it? It's about 6 weeks. Yeah. But thank you, Jacqui. It's much appreciated. We had to listen to the Molyneux View this morning, and we were just saying off camera that it's keeping us all sane and and helping us through this time of being a Wolves fan. First question I want to ask you is, when did the love for Wolverhampton Wanderers start?
Well, I think it started really in about 89, 90 when I got into football, really, sort of late 80s. And it was weird because I was into all sorts of other sports. So I was sports mad as a kid. So I was kind of football ready, but I just didn't have that introduction. Right. So most people, it's their brothers, the dads. Traditionally in those days, it was, or the next door neighbour that took them, or their uncle. And because we didn't have any family, not much family in England at all, really. My mum's South African, which is why I haven't really got a strong West Midlands accent particularly. But I talk like that, you're my angel.
I was going to say, so I'd love that mixture of Wolverhampton and South African. That'd be amazing.
A bit of Norwegian as well. I've actually got half Norwegian blood.
Wow.
But, so if I was any good at sport, I could play for England, Scotland, because my dad was born there, South Africa or Norway, because both my grandparents were from there. But
blimey.
So we were really into sport. I mean, I was really into sport PE at school, but where I went to school, all girls, it was all about RE, not PE, and there was no encouragement in terms of any extracurricular sport or whatever. And certainly when I asked if we could play football, the answer was no.
Have a word.
There's no opportunity to play, no clubs, nothing locally. It was pretty poor, really. And so it was really when I was about 14, 15 that I actually started going. And in terms of discovering Wolves, I just got into football one day through watching a game on the television, completely randomly. It was something that was on, and I was like, this is a sport for me. I've been mad into hockey at school and just lived for that day of hockey and what have you. And I thought, no, this is it. This is the sport. And I literally remember racing when I heard the dog barking that the Express and Star was arriving on the doorstep. And I raced to the front door, grabbed the newspaper,
back page,
beat Badger. Yeah, normally we go to page 3 for the tick off Coronation Street or whatever rubbish I was watching at the time. Not rubbish, but you know. I've been in it, no. And then
no.
It's fine. And instead I went to the back page, and I knew we had a local team, but I just didn't have that kind of introduction that most people do because we didn't have family locally. I think that's one of the main things. Normally it's in someone's family DNA, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sunday lunches around the table, and
it's almost like handed down like a baton, isn't it? You know.
Yeah. You got no choice. You got no choice. You actually had a choice, Jacqui. Yeah. You had a choice. And you went with Wolves.
I did, but it never occurred to me to support anyone else. This is what I don't understand: is kids growing up, and I'm not even talking about sort of non-league clubs or whatever, but I don't understand why more people don't support their local team. I genuinely, if I lived in Stockport, I would want to support Stockport, not Man United or Man City. I genuinely don't understand. And I think Wolves were in 4th division when I was growing up, but if they're in the 4th division, I would have supported them in the 4th division. I didn't look, hang on a minute, back page. I'm just checking in the 2nd tier. Oh, is that high enough for me? No, who's top of the table? Man United or Liverpool? just would not. I just don't get it. I mean, I do get it because little kids see it on the television, what have you. Unless it's from a family member, I don't understand the attraction of. My husband's Man United fan, but he's been to more Man United Wolves games than he's been to Man United than anyone else. And I don't understand the we nature of it. Or we did this, or we're going to beat you. It's like, well, you've never been. Why? I don't get it. And not my husband. He's sport who he likes because he doesn't have a local team. But generally, if you do have a local team, I just can't see how you can get so obsessed. Because have you ever read Fever Pitch?
Fever Pitch, I've heard of it. I haven't read it. No, go on.
Oh, Nick Hornby. So I mean, it's all about the obsession with a football team. I think he's from Berkshire actually, but he was saying that whenever Arsenal did anything, Arsenal fan, whenever Arsenal did anything, all his friends and what have you would think about him because he was the bloke they knew that supported Arsenal. And it's the same with Wolves. When Wolves do something special, it's special. When they reached Europe, when they got promoted, it was special. Whereas when Man United or Liverpool or Chelsea winning another trophy, if you come from Milton Keynes and Chelsea win a trophy, I don't know.
Yeah, they're not going to do they're not going to do the parade in Milton Keynes, are they? It's going to be their local area. So saying that, you got into Wolves at a relatively early age. What's your favourite Wolves memory that you can actually pinpoint in your head? You know, I know that there's so many to choose from, Jacqui.
No. I did a podcast recently with Theo Delaney called Life Goals, and it was picking out your 8 favourite goals and finding the music to go with it. And it was hard in terms of I only did a couple of Wolves ones in there. I was like, there weren't that many highlights. I know it sounds awful, but they've only really been the last few seasons since Nuno's been there. And it's all relative, I suppose, isn't it? I mean, beating Leeds away in '98 in the FA Cup was absolutely brilliant. I drove up there in my car. I broke down my little Fiat Uno, bless it.
Oh, no. To Leeds?
Yeah.
Oh, wowzers. Yeah.
I was living in London at the time as well. So I travelled all around the country with Leeds, with London Wolves normally, but I drove up for that. Yeah. And I think, Don Goodman's goal there was pretty special. Obviously, I mean, it's the obvious one. I've got Clive Tilsley's team sheet back there of the Sheffield United Wolves game.
I've got it. He sent it to me as well. Yeah. Oh, I was so happy that he sent it. I was like, Clive, mate, you don't know how big a deal that was. That's probably my favourite memory, like the playoff, because we didn't have a team. Really. Yeah, we didn't have a team that should have been in the Premier League. We had two players that were getting their pension, Paul Ince and Dennis Irwin, and like, you know, we shouldn't have been going up that season. But that was why it was so special. I think like 2003. What a year that was to be a Wolves fan.
Yeah, what a day out as well that was.
Yeah.
It has to be the highlight. I just messed up the celebration afterwards. I got a lift down. I was doing my post grad. I decided to change career. And I was doing my postgrad in Sheffield, and I got a lift down with a Sheffield United fan. She was on my course, and I made the biggest mistake. And I decided to go back with her. So I met up with her and a Sheffield United supporting brother afterwards. Silence in the car. She dropped me off in Wolverhampton at home, Codsall. And I was just thinking, what am I doing? Why did I not just stay in Cardiff? I know where to stay, but I'd have found somewhere. I'd have met up with the London Wolves and all my pals down there, Jonny Phillips. And I just phoned Jonny, go, where are you? I'm coming.
Help me.
Absolutely nuts. To this day, that was one of my biggest regrets in my life, which sounds quite shallow. But I can imagine. Oh my God, honestly, 19 years outside the top flight. We waited so long, and I'd been there every step of the way the season before, which we don't talk about too much.
No, worst season ever.
That was payback, wasn't it, that day?
Yes.
I still can't quite believe we actually got over the line. But.
I can't actually, and I'm just so glad that Jack Hayward actually got to see us in the Premier League, you know, because what a bloke he was. Now, you've done so much in your career, Jacqui. Massive fans. I don't want to keep blowing smoke up, you know, but you are brilliant at what you do, and you've worked all over the world, like covering different sporting events. But is there anyone that particularly stands out for you? Would you say?
I think the World Cups, I've done men's and women's World Cups, Euros, and Olympics. I'm very, very lucky in all capacities: presenter, commentator. TV and radio and reporter. So I'm very, 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 very lucky. And the one that stands out, as soon as you said what stands out, it was, I think, in Cape Town, the Men's World Cup in 2010, South Africa. And I was there for 5 Live, and I was commentating on the Netherlands against Cameroon.
Right.
With Graham Taylor. And there was just it was just one of those moments. And Cape Town is one of my favourite cities in the world. And, you know, I travelled around the world after uni and went down to Cape Town. Obviously, I have family nearby there.
Yeah, it would have been amazing for you.
There was just something about, I just could not believe that I was working in South Africa at a World Cup, having grown up with a South African family. And I was working for the BBC, commentating on football, and I got the former Wolves. I think I introduced him as the former Wolves manager.
Yes, of course you could. Brilliant.
And I had Loro in front of me, and I was like, "Oh, I love." And it was quite surreal. And I just thought, I think this might be the highlights of my entire life. And I've since got married, I had kids, and it's still the highlight. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. If my husband's watching this, I'm joking. But it was special. It was one of those pinch me moments. And I think the World Cup in Russia was amazing as well. And I was lucky enough to be staying in a hotel with all the pundits, because we were all split up because of necessity. That we were in the hotel with. So I spent a month with Roy Keane, Gary Neville, Ian Wright, Ruud Gullit was in there, Lothar Matthäus was in the gym.
Blimey, that's a hell of a five-side team, isn't it?
Slaven Bilic, all part of the team. Patrice Evra. Meal times were interesting, and that was just fascinating. It was proper pinch me stuff, because I'd be watching matches at lunchtime, we'd be having lunch at the same time, or dinner, and I'd have Gary Neville sitting next to me, or Slaven Bilic, and I felt like it was, even though we were just chatting off air, obviously, I felt like we were doing Sunday
match of the day, or Sunday supplement.
I was like, you should be recording this. I want to know what they've got to say. If I was at home, I'd want to know what they were saying, because they were all brilliant. They were so good to work with, and seeing another side to Roy Keane was just fantastic, because he's nothing like you see on the telly.
Is he not? Is he playing a Panto villain? Because like I do get that from him. Him and Mika Richards. Whenever I watch it, I'm just like going, wait a minute.
Yeah,
it's like watching
it's
like watching He-Man and Skeletor. It's like going up against each other. It's so hilarious.
Yeah, he's actually really chatty.
Yeah,
he's really, really chatty, and I think it definitely depends on who he's with as to how he is. And so if he's got fans nearby, it's less comfortable, obviously, than if he's got someone like Martin O'Neill, who was with us as well, who those two get on like an absolute house on fire, and they just adore each other. And they're great company. They are really, really good people. So that was just really fun. Or we'd go to a match, you obviously broadcast for ITV, and then we'd come back to the bar afterwards and just all carry on for a few hours, whatever.
Brilliant.
So I think that was one of the highlights.
What's the difference? Like you say, you've been to a World Cup in South Africa and obviously Russia. Now Russia has this cloud over it for being a certain type of country. But was it a good World Cup in Russia when you were over there? Did you see it? What I'm trying to get at is, was there any corruption over there, Jacqui?
Well, I mean, we'd had the security briefings before we went, and they're all quite severe. And it was don't transfer any money when you're abroad. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't expect your phone not to be hacked the whole time. Like,
brilliant.
Really? Don't expect people not to be listening to your conversations. Like, really? Do people want to know what I've had my dinner? And check whether the kids have slept well, or how's Peppa Pig doing? And I'm really not a very interesting person. So there was all that before we went. All of us had all that, and actually, it was nothing like that. So I think the theory was that all sort of concerns were put to one side, and the country was very much cleaned up for that period of a month or so. And it was sad, because we went to certain places and you drive into them and you think, oh, that's just the most horrendous poverty. Really? That I'd never, apart from in Africa, I hadn't experienced before. And unfortunately, you then had this multi-million-pound spaceship stadium in the middle of it that was then going to get demolished afterwards. You think, was that really the best use of the funds?
Soul destroying, isn't it?
Living in squalor, absolute squalor. So
kind of a similar thing to in Brazil, isn't it? That kind of
and South Africa as well.
Yeah.
Would imagine.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you can't switch off from society when you go to these things. You go to a big shiny stadium, you can't go, oh, nice stadium, bit of concrete. You do look around, you do talk to people, you do read papers and read up on what's happening in that country and learn as much as you can about it. So it is always interesting.
Jacqui, you've got an MBE, and we're talking about proud moments. Where were you when you got told you were getting an MBE, and what were you doing? I know I've put you on the spot, But,
yeah.
you talk about proud moments. I don't care about any of those things. You've got an MBE. You've got an MBE.
Oh, it's up there.
That's incredible. That is
Fantastic.
incredible.
Oh, it is. My mum's got one as well for completely different reasons. But
what? So good. So good.
No, my mum's amazing. She just does so much charity work in the community. She's just an amazing person, helps so many people.
Amazing.
Lovely, lovely person. But no, I was on the train up to Manchester and then Salford to present final score.
Yeah.
And my husband rang me up and he said, "You all right, babe?" I said, "Yeah." I was like, he's sounding very chirpy. What's up? And he said, "I've just opened your letter," because he just opens my post anyway, just to be able to put the paper in the recycling. He's very tidy. Wants it out the way. I don't care. I've never got anything interesting. Definitely.
Don't throw that in the recycling. Don't throw that in the recycling.
I'm surprised it didn't go, to be honest. And then he told me, and I was like,
"Wow,
what? Like what?" And
amazing.
it was because I got involved with women in football right from the start, and we all campaigned really hard for the rights of women working in football as well as women's football in my capacity then as presenting women's football for the BBC, and just banging the drum like mad really for the women's game, as lots of people have done since as well. And it was a very proud moment, and I couldn't quite believe it, but it was really on behalf of all the women all the people that had helped found Women in Football and do all the work that we did at the time, and as well as trying to progress the women's game, which was just such an infuriating process, to be completely honest with you. Just imagine what the attitude, not so much now, well, a little bit now, but the attitude when I started covering it for the BBC in 2004, it was actually frightening from all quarters, from everybody who should know a lot better, but the attitude, without really understanding the history of the fact that the women's game was banned for 50 years. So there's a lot of educating people about what had gone on and why women didn't have the opportunities that they should have had, and what they could perhaps have been had they had those opportunities.
Do you think it has got better though within the women's game to a point where we haven't got parity, not yet, with the men's game, unfortunately, but do you think that's coming, or do you think that's way into the future?
I think one of the main issues is the fact that people compare women's football to men's football, and it is different, not worse, not better. It's different. And I'm lucky that I get to go to, I've obviously been to a lot of women's matches and men's as well. And the standard of the WSL now, honestly, it is chalk and cheese compared to what it used to be when I first started going.
Who scored that goal for Man City? That goal,
Caroline Weir.
That was ridiculous. That was ridiculous. That was like Cantona.
It was stunning, wasn't it?
Have you seen it,
I was
Craig?
watching it,
yeah.
It's an unbelievable goal. But like you talk about, like the standard getting better. Now, why do you think that is the case? That's very simple. It's because girls are playing at an earlier age, and because they're getting coached. Whereas, I mentioned early on that when I was at school, desperate to play, ask your PE teacher, no, you can't play. Yeah. None of the girls in my school wanted to play, but that's fine. But all the girls were given Barbie dolls as kids. No one was given a football. The boys were given football kits and footballs because that was the culture then. And I go back to the fact that the women's game was banned for 50 years until the 1970s, by the way. It was quite recent.
Crazy, isn't it?
Because the FA felt it was unladylike and not becoming of a woman to be kicking football, and not just in this country, in Germany and elsewhere as well. So you're fighting centuries of prejudice. And it started off. Don't get me started. I've got loads of books. It's so important. It's so important. If people realise the background, that when little boys start to walk, they are given a ball at their feet, and then they start playing, and they are encouraged. Whereas little girls, anything but, and they weren't encouraged. And the great Kelly Smith, the great talent that is Kelly Smith. Look her up on YouTube if you haven't seen her.
Oh, I know Kelly Smith. Yeah, she's great.
And she had to go to America. She didn't want to go to America. She's very much a home girl from Watford. She was really unhappy and she had loads of problems. She did not want to go to America, but that was the only place she could get any coaching and vaguely fulfill her potential. So it's really frustrating, but it's happened. And now, I live down the road from where Chelsea play. And it is, I went to Chelsea Arsenal the other day, and Arsenal traditionally would win 7-0 every week. Their players were paid £100, which was like, wow, all the best players go to Arsenal because their players were paid £100 a game. None of the other players were paid a penny in those days, which is why Arsenal won 7-0 every week. And it was rubbish because everyone was working.
Yeah.
Not rubbish, but I mean,
no, but like the standard. Yeah.
They were stacking shelves and working, students full time or PE teachers or whatever, and having to train in the evenings. I mean, imagine if Eric Cantona or George Best or anybody else was working full time hard during the day and just managed to get an hour or two training in at night. I mean, would they have been as great as they were? So
absolutely not. But like, hey, still doing amazing stuff, which brings me nicely onto this season and how you think we're doing. Obviously, we've been very, very fortunate the last couple of years we've been spoiled, haven't we, really?
I think we like to say.
Yeah, I believe we have overachieved with the squad that we've got, but I'd love to hear your thoughts, Jacqui, on how you think, this season's gone and where we can get to.
Well, it's so interesting, isn't it? Because you lads as Wolves fans will feel this season's been a bit of a slog and, and a lot of the games have been quite dull and there haven't been many goals and why didn't they have backup to Raul? And we're all thinking the same until the morning of recording the podcast with Tim yesterday as we speak, so on Monday, and looked at the equivalent league table from last season. And yes, they were 7th at the time, but they only had 4 more points. And that for
crazy. That is
made
crazy.
Me realise that actually, yes, it's been frustrating, absolutely. But given the circumstances they're in and the fact they lost Raul 14 games ago and haven't taken the lead in a game since, as in gone ahead first, scored the first goal, I meant, then it's nowhere near as bad as people think. And yes, the FA Cup team selection frustration is still very, very fresh. It's still very fresh. We all, I know you feel it, you felt it, everyone felt it. You looked at the team sheet and it's nothing against any individual player, but it was collectively, you looked at that team sheet and thought, where are the goals coming from? That was the problem. Yeah. And sure enough, that's how it transpired, isn't it? And then they didn't start off on the front foot. They didn't. And I thought Morgan Gibbs-White did a lot better than people have given credit for. I think he played his... I know one of you... Well, hang on, one of you is not a fan of Morgan Gibbs-White, are you? No, one of you...
We agree.
No, I am not of the same opinion. I think he's a championship player.
Yes, that was it.
But,
but my point is, I thought he put a shift in. I really did.
Absolutely.
And regardless of his future, I do think there's a lot more to come, but whether it's at Wolves, I don't know. But I just thought both Vitinha and Morgan Gibbs-White, when you weren't playing players in the right position and they'd scored, 7 career goals between them. Anyway, it was such a shame and a missed opportunity. But now we keep saying pretty much every week something about a platform to build on. But you just hope that with Jonny back, who offers so much, and now we're sort of discovering, if you like, inverted wingers.
He's transformed the team, hasn't he? The last, 2 games he's been back, he's completely transformed the way we look. It's
in 45 minutes he only plays, and he's like, he looks better than most of the players. It's just like Jonny has just brought balance to the team, hasn't he? Looks straight away. He's like some kind of comfort blanket that you just want to cuddle up to. It's like I never, when he's on the ball, feel as though he's going to lose possession. And I think that for me is very important going forward in the defence. Definitely,
we've had a few sort of disagreements about Ait-Nouri, haven't we?
Yes.
And I was sort of really singing his praises, but then when Jonny comes back, it just makes you realise what an important cog in the system he is.
Yeah.
I mean, 7 left backs. It's just shown how disjointed Wolves have been this season, and the fact that, I mean, do you remember when I didn't even used to bother looking at the team graphic when it came out a couple of years ago. Do you remember?
Yeah, you
just look at it after a while, after 10 or 11 games. You never looked at it. It was like, oh my God, he's made a change. Oh my God, what size for...
That's it.
Yeah. It was a shock. Whereas now, it could have been anyone. It could have been one of 3 left backs at one point. Or it could have been, centre halves who's going to swap this week. And it's not criticism. It's just the changing formation, trying to find the goals, trying to find solutions, trying to work out where the blazes the goals are coming from, and still it is astonishing how few goals the talent in its side, the fact that Traore cannot score in the Premier League.
Just going back to what you just said, we're still only just a few points off where we were this time last year.
4.
So 4 points. So we're not doing too bad, and I know a lot of the Wolves fans, obviously get frustrated, and we're not banging in the goals and playing really well every week. It's just having that perspective, I think, isn't it? And just it's a crazy time for everybody.
Yeah, I think it has affected us more than other teams. I know every single team is going to say that, but I really do feel as though the way we play, well, we play some wonderful stuff, and we have done the last couple of seasons, and it just feels like it's stagnated because of the injuries that we've had, and we haven't really had a plan B, and when we have gone to plan B, it hasn't really been good enough. And I think probably Moutinho, he's been so fantastic for us the last couple of years. I do believe, he had a great game against Arsenal, but that was against 9 men. This is probably swan song season. So I'll ask you, Jacqui, is going forward, what signings do we need to take us to the next level? Because we're not going down this season. But we don't really want this season to peter out either. So what do you think Nuno should do going forward? Should he experiment? Should he stay at 3 at the back? Should he go with 4 at the back? What's he doing? What's he going to do? Who knows?
Yeah, well, I think I can see why he wanted to go to 4 at the back. And it's something Tim and I discussed on the pod, and Tim was like, that's never going to happen, because he wasn't showing any inkling towards wanting to try it. And of course, Conor Cody was suspended for the unavailable for the Southampton game. Yeah. And it was a chance to try it. And fair play to him, he gave it a go. But I'm sure you'd agree that the Wolves don't really have the centre halves to be playing 4 at the back. So that's really interesting in terms of Nuno. I don't think 4 at the back's a problem. Most of the Premier League play 4 at the back. It's what you do with it. And for a start, you need to have the right centre halves, stating the obvious. You need to have the right full backs. Is Aït-Nouri a left back as opposed to a left wing back if he stays? And obviously Jonny's the primary position holder there, but in midfield I just don't like the Moutinho Neves axis. Both supremely talented players. I just don't like it.
It's too slow,
ponderous. And you look at the goals. I look at Leicester. I love watching Leicester with James Maddison. I know looked at
Harvey Barnes, both of them just run the show. They run the show.
Dynamism, pace, link up play, desire, attitude. I'm not saying that Neves, Moutinho don't, but the number of shows that I've talked to Tim about where the goal's coming from, and it's case of, it's not his job. It's not his job. And it's like, it's got to be somebody's job. I mean,
somebody's got to do it.
Yeah. Which is why, when I tweeted at halftime about, I think I've done it a couple of times, about how Moutinho should maybe come off, particularly against Arsenal, because nothing was happening for him.
Yeah, I did that as well.
I don't regret that.
No, you're right. You were right. It's only because they had 2 men sent off.
But but we weren't wrong, because that's how he was playing. And the fact that he decided to actually have a shot at goal in the second half and it was a wonder goal, brilliant. But we weren't wrong. The point was, why hadn't he done that previously? That was the issue.
Absolutely.
And there's just been nowhere near enough of that, nowhere near enough from midfield, and the link-up play and the running beyond and the movement. It just concerns me. So if Nuno is going to go 4 at the back the next season with the benefit of a pre-season, then he's going to have to do his business pretty quickly. And he definitely, I mean, he'll know. He knows he needs to do business.
He does now.
With Wolves hemorrhaging money, as every club is does that involve a big name sale? And as we discussed on the pod, I don't want it to be a Derby trial, because I feel that he's nowhere near peaked yet. Nowhere near.
He definitely hasn't peaked yet, Jacqui. That's correct.
I think there's so much more to come, and I don't want it to be in someone else's shirt. That's the problem.
Yeah,
I know.
I think you're absolutely spot on there. He's definitely, if he doesn't stay with us, he's going to go on somewhere else and be an absolute superstar. And you can see it happening. But if that's going to be with us, I'm not sure.
I don't think it is. I think it is. I really don't. But then my other question, which is probably it's a leading question, but have we got the centre-backs to play a back 4? And if not, should we change the system, or should we change the personnel?
Well, that's it. I don't think Wolves do. I mean, Conor Cody, if you listen to the pod, you'll know that Tim and I are both enormous admirers of him because of everything he brings, the leadership. You cannot underestimate the leadership
absolutely
Conor Cody brings. And I just like him. I just like him. And I really like the fact that he is the captain of our team. I think what he offers, bearing in mind, there's not very much Englishness going on there. And some people don't give it stuff. Some people don't give stuff. I do a little bit. Yeah. I do. I think it's weird that there hasn't been an English Premier League goal scorer for Wolves in a Wolves shirt since January 2019. I'm uncomfortable with that.
Was that Bennett?
Bennett.
Yeah.
There are more Portuguese players who've scored in the Premier League than English. I mean, I know most people don't care, and if Wolves doing well in the league, then I care less as well. But I do think that having English voices in the dressing room, or British or Irish or whatever, I do think it's important to a certain extent. So in an ideal world, I'd love Conor Coady to be staying. I'd love him to be absolutely smashing it, maybe in a back five. But the midfield dynamic has to change. And whilst Neves is brilliant, I just think Moutinho needs probably to be replaced.
Like the spine of the team. When I look at the team, I am not of the opinion that Coady can play in a four for us. I think Bolly can. I think Kilman with time can. I think Kilman and Bolly are probably the future partnership, and both of those players are not particularly quick.
Are they vocal enough though? This is what concerns me. I mean, Kilman,
I know
really good player, but he is a really quiet lad. I met him on a train once going back from Norwich with Matt Doherty. Really nice lad. But never mind that. But they're not vocal. They're not kind of up and at 'em kind of leaders on the pitch. I think Wolves need more leaders. They need more, but you can't just have Conor Coady shouting at people, encouraging people. It needs to come from within, and there needs to be more leadership. And I don't think they've got that drive. You look at Neto, every single game he has.
Love that guy.
Yeah,
every single game he shows that same performance level and drive, and you don't always see that. You know, Dendonka's one that we could talk about all night.
He's one where you can like switch whether he has a great game or not, definitely. But hey, you know what? We could talk about this all night, couldn't we? But you know, I think if we can just consolidate this season, like chalk it off to, you know, it's the no fan season. It's always going to have an asterisk by it anyway. Let's start again. Get a decent midfielder in for Moutinho. Bless him. He's one of the best players that's ever played for us. But you know, age is catching up with him. And if Raul does come back, get Jose to either be on the bench or do what you said, play a 4-4-2 with them both up front. Why not?
Absolutely.
I'd love to see it. But I hope William Jose scores enough, because I think from what we've seen of him, of what he can do, I just want him to do it sooner rather than later. Really, really do. And then the idea of perhaps, even ideally at the end of the season, seeing them both together. I know they're quite similar players, but I don't think it means they can't play together. I think they can really complement each other.
Absolutely.
They do enough. They have so many strings to their bow. If they were just good in the air, then obviously there's no point in that. But both of them, I think it could be fascinating. Wolves actually having a proper goal threat. Imagine that. Maybe even scoring first.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, not conceding the first 7 minutes. That'd be great as well. Jacqui, we're running out of time, so I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the Wandering Wolf YouTube channel. It's been great talking to you. We could talk to you for hours and hours and hours about this Wolves team. But yeah, cheers. We'll be listening to Molyneux View every single Tuesday, as we always do. And thanks for your time. Much appreciated.
Appreciate your time, Jacqui.
Thanks so much. Thanks for your support on the pod as well. And good luck, you guys, with what you're doing. It's great stuff. Really fun.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, Jacqui.
Cheers. Take care.
See you later.